What was it like to go down Main Street and see the castle, the original castle?
So the original castle in Disneyland is smaller than the castle in Disney World. So, and I knew that going in, like I knew it, but when you walked in to see it, and I don't know if John really how much he knew, and he goes, "That's it, that's the castle."
Sounds like
So,
John.
It makes you feel better. The first time I was there, the castle was being worked on. So it was not even a castle. It was scaffolding with a castle picture on it.
okay.
I know, Wendy, we're so used to that big castle in Florida. But this week we're heading to the park where it all began. Wendy Fox finally checks Disneyland off her Disney bucket list after years of canceled plans. And together with Samantha, we're comparing Disneyland and Walt Disney World. From the attractions and resorts to the food, the atmosphere, and those little details that make each destination special. Hey, Disney Geeks, Curtis Stone here, host of the Geekin' on Walt Disney World podcast. This week, I'm joined by two of my favorite Disney geeks, Wendy and Samantha, for a conversation I've been looking forward to for a long time. Wendy finally made her first Disney trip to Disneyland, and with Samantha bringing her own Disneyland experience to the discussion, we're diving into what surprised them, what lived up to the hype, and what didn't, and how Walt's original park compares to the Disney World we all know and love. If you've ever wondered whether Disneyland is worth the trip, or maybe you're planning your own first visit, this episode is full of great tips and honest comparisons from two seasoned Disney travelers. If you're thinking of planning your next Disney vacation, my wife Margita and her good friend Auntie Judy are the Traveling Tiaras, your trusted Disney travel planners. Whether you're dreaming of Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Universal, Epic Universe, and other amazing vacations because we are supporting other cruise lines too. They'll help you plan a smart, stress-free trip from beginning to end. Already booked? No problem. You can transfer your reservation to the Traveling Tiaras, still receive their expert planning and support, and it's one of the best ways to support the podcast. Get started by emailing them, travelingtiaras@gmail.com. You don't have to write that down right now. Just check the show notes on that podcast app that you listen to the show, and you can find the email there. Or reach out to us through Facebook Messenger. To everyone who books or transfers their vacation through the Traveling Tiaras, thank you so much. Your support truly means the world to us. This episode is packed with Wendy's first impressions of walking into Walt's original Disneyland park, Grand Californian versus Disneyland Hotel and how both compare to Disney World resorts, favorite attractions, nostalgic rides, and why Cars Land continues to impress. We have honest thoughts on Disneyland food, lightning lanes, and park strategy, Disneyland versus Disney World, cast members, entertainment, atmosphere, and convenience. We got great planning tips if you're considering your own first Disneyland vacation. Now, you don't need a lightning lane to get on this ride. Let's take a stroll down Main Street U.S.A., where the magic all began with my pals Wendy and Samantha. I got two of my favorite pals coming on the show, and I can't wait to talk to them. It's been a little while. I've talked to them. Well, except for Wendy. I got Wendy and Samantha here.
Hi.
Hi, geeks.
I was just editing and produced the show with Wendy interviewing Margita for her trip report.
Fine.
Yeah, I think it came out pretty good.
Oh, good.
Is that tomorrow's episode?
Yes, as we're recording this, it's tomorrow's episode.
Excellent.
Margita was a little nervous right after she said, well, she's always a little nervous about her recording, but she felt like she was a little bit harsh to Disney World.
Oh.
Comparing to Epic Universe New Park. And I listened back to it and I didn't think so.
Well, it's just Epic is brand spanking new. So so many of those things are going to be, great
And
because
just
it's new.
different.
Yeah, it's different. And well, let's talk about our theme today. Wendy, I think you went on your very first trip to Disneyland, right?
I did in April of this year.
That a little bit surprises me. That was your first
That I've
time.
never been.
You were
Yeah.
supposed to go in 2020?
I had one trip canceled during the pandemic, and then I was supposed to go one other time, and our plans got changed. So I tried to go, that just never made it there until this time.
So many of our friends have gone there and we've interviewed them. So I'm excited. We thought we'd cover Wendy's trip and then we brought Samantha on. She's been to Disneyland. How many times, Samantha?
I think just twice.
Oh, okay.
Once back in 2019 and then once, I guess it was 2024, almost 2 years ago.
It's a trip I want Margita to
About
take.
ready to go back.
You are ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would like to get into a annual Disneyland trip rotation.
Yeah, I know so many of us that have gone have really spoken very favorably about Disneyland. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to compare Disneyland and Disney World during Wendy's trip report.
Okay. So my trip was in April and it was part of a California trip. So we went to Joshua Tree National Park and we were there 3 nights. We flew into LA. We drove to Joshua Tree and we were there for, like I said, 3 nights and did some hiking. Then we drove to Disneyland and we stayed a few nights, 3 nights at the Grand Californian and 3 nights at the Disneyland Hotel, both with DVC. And for whoever is a DVC member, it is extremely difficult to get DVC rooms unless you're an owner at Grand California, which I am not. So it took a lot of work to get like a day at a time. And I just had all these random days until I was finally able to make a trip together. So that's the dates that we were able to get the hotel. Those are the dates we went on the trip. That's how it was planned.
6 nights is a long time at Disneyland.
5 nights, 3 nights at Grand Californian and 2 nights at Disneyland Hotel. So 6 days, 5 nights. Yeah.
All right. Well, 5 nights is a long time at Disneyland.
The first day we came in on a Saturday night driving from Joshua Tree and we checked into the hotel and then we went to an Angels game, a baseball game, because we've never been to that stadium. So that Sunday, even though we stayed at the Grand California, we didn't do anything with Disney at all. We bought a ticket that was like that you can only use during the week. It was like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday ticket. And it was less expensive. Plus, we didn't want to go on the weekend anyway, since we have time to go in the week. So we went to a baseball game and we went out to dinner to that very fancy restaurant in the Grand California, which I think it's the most
Wendy's
we've
never
ever.
going back to Disneyland because she said it's so much more expensive than Disney World. And then I started asking her, well, where did you eat? And everywhere she ate was like the finest dining establishment that they have to offer. I'm like, well, no kidding, it was expensive.
So we had a really nice dinner that Sunday night. Oh my goodness, I can't even remember the name of it. What? Sam, you remember what the restaurant was? I'm bad. I should have written these things.
Villa Rose, something like that. Something Rose.
Napa Rose.
Napa Rose.
Yeah, that's what it was. And it was very good, but I think our dinner was like $600. I mean, it was a lot of money.
When you started describing it, it reminded me of like going to Monsieur Paul because it was like a prefix menu, a several course prefix menu.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you add on drinks.
Right. So
at $250.
We did that Sunday night. We had this very expensive dinner. I mean, it was nice, but it wasn't worth it. But I wanted to see the restaurant and I wanted to go. And we didn't even do the more expensive one. There was a chef's tasting one we just did the regular one. There was like another one. I don't even know how much you'd spend for that one, but there were a lot of servers and it was, the food was good. It was pricey. I'm not going to do that again.
Well, between the two, I'd rather go to the baseball game and
right?
eat at a quick service. How was the Angels Park?
It was nice and it was so close. I mean, I think it was 3 miles away from Disneyland. So we just took an Uber. I think, it was maybe like a $20 Uber ride or $10 Uber ride, something. I don't know. So it was really close and easy to do. And that is one thing about Disneyland is it's right downtown and you're close to a lot of things. So that was a nice little perk of staying there. And staying at the Grand Californian was amazing, except it reminded me a little bit of the Polynesian, where it's overrun with people because it's so close to the park. There's an entrance to go to the Grand Californian. So you could be at Disney or downtown Disney and just walk over there and use their restaurants or use their facilities. So the hotel was just inundated with people. Like I said, it reminded me of the Polynesian. So where the hotel was beautiful and the restaurants in there were nice, it was just really crowded. And that was in April. It was a down time. I think the crowd calendar said it was a 4 out of 10. So when it was still that crowded and there was a lot of construction going on. So it had its pluses and its minuses. I mean, the location was great, but location is great for everyone. So it was very busy.
Is that the new one, Wendy?
No, the villas at Disneyland are the new ones. That's the new tower that went up.
Okay.
That's like across the street, which doesn't it sound like it's very far, but it's like an extra 10-minute walk.
Okay.
But it's still walking distance compared to like
Still walking
everything
distance.
in Florida is not.
Correct. And there is a monorail, but when we were there, the monorail was down. There was a lot of construction going on when we were there. A lot of things that were closed, including the monorail. I mean, not that we would taken it, we just walked. But
Samantha, where did you stay? What resorts when you went?
The last time we stayed at the Disneyland Tower. Actually, we rented points from Wendy.
did.
And you didn't have any trouble getting that, I don't think, at the 7-month mark.
I had a little trouble coordinating it. I would have preferred staying at the Grand California the whole time, but I couldn't get it. That's why we were there. It was a little easier to get, but it still was not easy to get.
Yeah. So Disneyland Hotel, you have to walk through downtown Disney to get to the parks, but it's still very close, and that's where their Trader Sam's is.
And Trader Sam's was under
Have around.
construction. Trader Sam's.
Oh, it was? That's sad.
You could only sit outside. You couldn't go inside.
Oh, yeah.
You had like a
No,
little
you have to go inside.
drink area. That's what I'm saying. A lot was under construction. We were there in April.
Well, how does Trader Sam's compare to Disney World?
It's much smaller inside. So there's like a wraparound bar kind of, and then it's just like a U of tables. And I mean, a lot of the like gimmicks are similar, but it's just a little bit more intimate, I would say.
When you say smaller than Disney World, it's kind of interesting because that's really small.
You think the Disney World one is small?
Yes.
It's not. You put other tables in there.
Well, I never got to see the inside of it. I only got to see the outside of it. And there are a lot of tables outside at Trader Sam's, but there really wasn't anything going on other than getting your drink.
Yeah.
What could you compare the tower in Disneyland to?
The tower in Disneyland was a Pixar theme, and it was much more modern.
It was? It's not a Pixar theme.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was seeing when we walked in. That's what our room was.
Our room was Tiana themed.
Pixar. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe they have different
rooms.
Were you in 2 different towers?
No, there's only one DVC tower. I think it's the Adventure Tower or something. Each of their towers are named after like a different area in Disneyland. I think it's Adventure Tower. But it's all like kind of movie themed.
Right.
So I would liken it most similarly to like contemporary now with the Incredibles theme.
Yes.
It's like a contemporary building, but now they've Disneyfied it.
Well, there is more than one tower.
There's more than one tower, but there's not more than one DVC tower.
Okay.
So like it started out as a regular Disney resort and not DVC. And then recently they refurbished one of the towers and made it DVC.
Gotcha.
And that's just a different vibe too. It's like white and clean, and whereas the Disney Grand California is more like Wilderness Lodge type. So it's like a different vibe in the different ones.
So Wendy, were you pleased with your resort? Did you stay at the first room that you got?
Yes. I didn't really have much. I was lucky I got in the room, trust me. So at Grand California, we had to splurge on a 1-bedroom because that's all that I can get. But for us, it really worked out because we were on a trip for 5 days before we got there. So it had a washer, dryer, and we were able to do laundry when we were there. So that worked out. And the room was very large because it was a 1-bedroom and there was just the two of us. So that was really nice. And then we were in the studio at Disneyland. I mean, the nice thing about it, the best thing I can say is you can walk to the park from those two resorts. And the parks are right across from each other. So you don't have the friction you have at Disney World with the transportation getting from resorts to the park. So if we're kind of starting a little bit of talk about the two of them, that was, I think, the best feature at Disneyland was the proximity.
But yeah, everything's much more compact there. So like in addition to the resorts that are on property, you can stay off property there and be across the street and still be like kind of just as close of a walk as if you stayed on Disney property. Which I know when we were there, some of our friends stayed across the street at one of the non-Disney resorts.
One very disappointing factor is that used to be if you stayed on Disney property, you had early entry into the park half an hour earlier. They stopped doing that in 2026. So when we were there in April, they decided that instead of that, they're going to give you something equally as valuable, which was one lightning lane pass, which was clearly not as valuable as getting into the park early. But they just stopped allowing people to go in early from the resorts.
Now, in your notes, Wendy, you said you and Sam can maybe vote on these different categories.
Yes.
Comparing Disneyland and Disney World. I don't know how fair that is because they're just they're just different, but let's give it a shot.
Okay.
I mean, Disney World has so many resorts, so it's kind of hard to compare.
I think the resorts at Disney World are better, but the aspect of having everything that's on Disney property be walkable to the parks and the option to save money and stay off property and still have like an enjoyable time is nice about Disneyland.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good observation. Wendy, what do you say about the comparison between the resorts?
I agree with what Sam said is that that's probably one of the best things about Disney World is that proximity. But I think Disney World has so many more options. I mean, even just staying in the different categories, the deluxe, the moderate, the value. And I mean, you can stay off property, but it's more difficult. I just think there's a lot more choices at Disney World. So if you want to stay at Animal Kingdom and have that be your vibe, or if you want to stay, at Port Orleans, like, you guys did. I mean, that you just have a lot of options where there's not as many options in Disneyland.
Yeah, had this conversation comparing with Universal too. Disney World is just difficult to describe because of its immensity and so many different options, which makes it great, which kind of makes it fun. But I can understand the convenience that I've heard from Disneyland for sure, having the two parks so close. You didn't have this on your list that I'm looking at, but let's go right into food. It's down later in your list.
Okay.
We heard your first restaurant.
Yes.
I mean, you're there 6 days. How many did you book a bunch of restaurants?
We didn't. The only thing I booked in advance was Napa Rose. That was the only one. And the rest we said, we'll just see, what we want to do when we got there because it's just John and I. So it was easy. We really didn't have a lot that we had to do. We weren't working around any other schedules or other than the lightning lanes that we purchased. So we kind of wanted things to be loose. So one night we went to Napa Rose. One night we went to the Mexican restaurant in downtown Disney, which was really great. That was a really good restaurant. One night we went to the Lamplight Lounge, which has a restaurant and a lounge, but we only ate in the lounge. And then we must have done something else. One night we ate first night we ate at like the pool. They have like it's a sit down restaurant, but it's like right next to the pool. It's very casual. Has like sandwiches and burgers and salads. And that was our first night when we got there. That was at the Grand Californian. So those were our dinners. And then lunch, we just grabbed whatever quick service was around. It was food and wine. And I'm sorry, not food and wine. There was some festival that was there.
They have a food festival. I don't know if it's
called a food festival. Yeah. And
some sort.
We did some of the snacks when we were there for our lunches.
Where do they have their food booths?
It was in
California Adventure, kind of like
Adventure
on your way to Pixar Pier.
So what were the highlights of food for you, Wendy? eating wise?
I don't know. In my mind, I had this thing that Disneyland's food was so much better than Disney World. So I guess that was in the back of my mind. But I don't think that there's anything that we had that was so outstanding. I had a wine flight when we were, going to the food and wine booths. I think John had some empanadas that he thought were good. There wasn't anything that was like, oh, that was really good. I wanted to go back for. And there wasn't as many booths there as you see like at Epcot when you go through the World Showcase. There's booths at, all the way through. And I guess I was expecting there to be so much more, but they were really there's really a very small amount of them. And a lot of the stuff there was fried, which was fine. It's just that's not what I really wanted. So we just didn't eat we didn't eat a ton of them.
Samantha, what's your take? You have a favorite place that you've gone to in Disneyland?
So we did a couple different things in downtown Disney when we were there, which are just like regular restaurants I could have eaten at home. Lamplight Lounge is always good, but I like it there more for like the ambiance than the actual food. I mean, I think everything we had there was fine, but it's right outside. Like you can sit on the water looking at Pixar Pier with the Ferris wheel. So it's a really nice kind of, you feel like you're quintessential Disneyland California Adventure location. I find that their sit-down restaurants, there's not as many of them as we have here, and they're not as good as the Walt Disney World ones, but they have better like snack, quick serve items than we do here. So like we had the mac and, but to Wendy's point, a lot of it is like kind of junky, comforty type food. Like I'm not sitting here being like, the mac and cheese cones in Cars Land are amazing, but it's like a loaf of bread with mac and cheese inside of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm typically a vegetarian. We had an afternoon of drinks and ended up at I think it's called the Tropical Hideaway, which is like right next to their tiki room. It's a little like quick serve bar place where they have spring rolls. And no one in our drunken state recognized that these spring rolls had pork in them. So we had about a dozen of them, myself included, and they were the best spring rolls I've ever had in my entire life. That might be because I haven't eaten meat in 15 years. But we went back the next morning when we were all dead sober. We're like, we should get those spring rolls again. And that's when Andy took a bite of his and looked at me and goes, do you know there's pork in these? I was like, I don't, but I had about 5 of them last night. So what's another one?
You went off the wagon.
I did go off the wagon. And I know like people really like Bengal barbecue, which is another barbecue quick serve there. They have a lot of good little like snacky type things where I feel like that's not necessarily our strong suit in Disney World. I mean, like there's the festivals at Epcot, but if you go through the regular parks, we don't have like these kind of destination snack items. The last time I was there, I met up with a friend at Storytellers, which is like the character breakfast at Grand Californian. And that was really good. But that was very comparable, I would say, to like any of the buffets in Walt Disney World.
Oh, and it was we walk by it all the time. It's right by the entrance where you leave the Grand California to go into California Adventure. And that was busy all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the characters there are really cute. It's kind of similar to like Hollywood and Vine, how they dress them up seasonally. So when we were there, they were in the fall. So like they had all their like like Mickey Mouse was like hipster Mickey and it's like flannel and a beanie and all these like cute fall outfits.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the parks, Wendy. First time at the original Disneyland, designed by Walt Disney. So what was the feeling walking into Disneyland for the first time?
Well, I mean, I was so excited just to even go there and just to walk through there. And the way that it's set up is you walk from Grand Californian and you walk and Disneyland is on the right and California Adventures on the left. They're across from each other. So they're very close. So that again is one of like the great things about Disneyland. And so we went to Disneyland first and John and I are like, okay, we're just going to go on all the rides. We bought the lightning lanes. But the way it works in Disneyland is you don't make any in advance. You make them as soon as you enter. So as soon as we entered, we just started making them and used the lightning lanes as much as we could. And we went on all the rides. And, John's like 6 foot. So there's a lot of rides that he did not fit in comfortably, like the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn is an older roller coaster. And he was like barely getting his legs and arms and everything. And it was very rickety. So, I mean, we loved all the nostalgia and trying all the rides that we didn't have at Disney World. And some of them are just different, like Margita, if she saw the Haunted Mansion there, she'd just absolutely love it. You'd be just going on there on repeat. Don't you think, Samantha, that she would love that? And the Pirates is
Yes,
different
when
and
we were
longer.
there, the Haunted Mansion was the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay, which I don't know what I had heard about that, and I don't know what I was expecting it to be. I thought it was just going to be like a couple little Jack Skellingtons thrown into the regular Nightmare Before or Haunted Mansion, but it is like a completely different attraction between the months of August and I guess November when they put it back after Halloween.
But we were able to use the lightning lanes and pretty much go on all the rides. I mean, there was just two of us, and so that's what our goal was, is to try to go through and and see all that.
Yeah, I think because there's everything's closer and it's kind of easier to navigate than going to Walt Disney World, you get a lot more bang for your buck when you buy Lightning Lane than you do in Walt Disney
Yes.
World.
And there was, like I said, there was just two of us, and we just kind of zipped through all the rides that were there.
Were there long lines?
Not really lines. I mean, there were lines, but I would say maybe wait times were like half an hour.
Oh, good.
Some of the bigger attractions, they were longer than that. It wasn't terrible. But again, we had the lightning lane, so we just really managed those, having them on a rolling basis. It was pretty easy for us to use.
What was it like to go down Main Street and see the castle, the original castle?
So the original castle in Disneyland is smaller than the castle in Disney World. So, and I knew that going in, like I knew it, but when you walked in to see it, and I don't know if John really how much he knew, and he goes, "That's it, that's the castle."
Sounds like John.
It makes you feel better. The first time I was there, the castle was being worked on. So it was not even a castle. It was scaffolding with a castle picture on it.
Okay. So, I mean, it was interesting though. And it was great to, see some of the rides that we don't have, and just to walk around and kind of get, it's a different vibe there. And I think one of the things I noticed, and Samantha, I'd be interested in hearing what you thought, is I thought the cast members in Disney World really tried to make things more magical and more immersive than the cast members in California. And I don't know if it was just my experience.
I think it's funny. My brother was just there for the first time with his family, and he has two small children this past week. And it was his birthday on the day he was there, and he had a birthday button on. So I said to him, like, "Did you get any, free pixie dust for your birthday?" And he was like, "No, not that I can think of." I was like, and they went to all the snack carts. I'm like, "You mean nobody gave you a Mickey pretzel when you went to the Mickey pretzel cart and they saw your birthday party?" He's like, "No." So I think there's a lot more like their characters are more roaming than our characters. So from that aspect, it's more magical, and there's a little bit more. One day when we were there, we went to one of the shops on Main Street, has a magic shop in it, and there's a magician in there. So those types of cast members, I think, are maybe a little bit more prevalent than in Walt Disney World. But the general ride operators and the quick serve restaurant people, I would agree, are not as friendly and trying to make things as special as maybe the Walt Disney World ones are.
And they didn't really even engage in much as conversation as the cast members in Florida do. And I can't figure out if that's because people who live in Florida are transplants from all over the country, and people who work in Disneyland are from that area. If you look on their name badges, most of the time they're from the Anaheim area. I don't know, but I did find that was a different vibe.
Discussing this with my parents yesterday when we found out my brother didn't get a free Mickey pretzel for his birthday, that Disneyland is a lot more locals. So I think the cast members maybe don't necessarily feel like they have to make this this magical experience to get this person to come back. They're going to come back. They live close by their annual Halloween.
That's a good point.
Whereas in Disney World, we've all fallen trapped to the once in a lifetime trip that becomes not a once in a lifetime trip because everybody's so nice and making it magical that they probably feel like, oh, we have to now convert people to want to do this more and more and more because it is more of a destination spot than like Disneyland is.
So the first day we did Disneyland all day. The second day we did California Adventure. And then on our third day, we kind of went back and just did some extra things. And that's really when we did a little bit more of the food and wine tastings at California Adventure. And at the Grand Californian, you can get into the park by an exit in the building. But even though the park opened, I think it was 8 or 8:30, you had to be in line at 7:15. So even though you were there, if you wanted to get in early, you were waiting in line a long time. Granted, you didn't have to go anywhere else, but you had to go down, and wait in that line. And the reason you really wanted to be there early is because as soon as you got in, that's when you could start making your lightning lanes. So it was really important that you got in early. And for us, I'm not sure we ever really got fully on Californian time. So we were waking up early anyways. It wasn't that big of a deal. But that was something else. It's like if you wanted to get the most out of your lightning lanes, because like Guardians, for example, that lightning lane filled up very quickly. Now, John is not one that can go on Guardians, so we never had to use that. So we were able to do pretty much everything else in Grand Californian easily because so many people, like if they have that as one of their rides and they couldn't book another ride until they went on that. So it was important that they went on that early. So that was like a big strategy for that park because Guardians is just a regular lightning lane.
Mm. So what were your favorite attractions, Wendy?
I really loved seeing the Haunted Mansion. That was probably the ride that I enjoyed the most. Also seeing the difference of Pirates. That was another one I really wanted to see. Seeing some of the really older kid rides like Pinocchio that we don't have. And it's, they're older. The park was built in 1955. And so I don't know how much change ever there was. So they kind of looked more like older carnival rides, but it was just, it was just really interesting to go and do that. And then the thing I liked best, I think, about Grand Californian was the way that California Adventure is the way that they had the park in all different segments. So there was like part of the park that was like Chinatown and downtown San Francisco, with like there was a bread place you could watch sourdough bread being made. There was like I don't know, I guess a national park section would be. And so the way that they had the sections, I thought that was really well done. And it was different than what we'd seen in any of the parks in Florida.
How about you, Samantha? What's your favorite attractions in Disneyland?
I like doing all the old school stuff. I love doing Mr. Toad's because I grew up riding Mr. Toad in Walt Disney World and we don't have that anymore. So that brings back memories for me. And then I love their Guardians. It's like everybody talks about bringing their Guardians to our Tower of Terror. I'm like, we don't need that. We have it there and we can have our Tower of Terror here. But it's like, it reminds me of if Tower and Terror and Rock Roller Coaster had a baby. It would be their Guardians because it's like Tower of Terror, but with the music aspect of Rock and Roller Coaster. And then I love the Cars Land out there. So I'll be very interested when we get our version of Cars Land, what it's like. But it's just it's so immersive. It's kind of like, the things that we talk about with Epic and some of the few lands in Walt Disney World, like Galaxy's Edge and Pandora. But like, you really feel like you're in Radiator Springs.
Yeah, what is that ride exactly? Just for us that are going to experience it at Disney World, like you said, hopefully it'll be similar. Is it a ride vehicle?
I mean, their major attraction is Radiator Springs Racers, which is essentially test track, but cars themed.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, you just go fast. But it is very well done, though.
Yeah. And they have Mater's Jump Yard Jamboree, which is also really cute. It's kind of similar to like a teacups or alien swirling saucers, but it's outside. And I don't know why, but it's like more fun than alien swirling saucers.
How about shows, Wendy? Did you do any shows?
One of the first nights we did the color, like it wasn't really fire.
World of Color
show where they used color on the fountains. And that was okay. They didn't have fireworks the nights that we were there because they only had them, I think it was on the weekends then. And we were there during the week. So we didn't have a real fireworks, just World of Color. So that was interesting.
Yeah, they have a lot more like the schedules fluctuate a lot more and the offerings change depending on the day and time of year versus Walt Disney World, where like you pretty much always are getting happily ever after unless there's a Halloween party.
Right. And I didn't realize that. I was disappointed in that because I really like the fireworks at Disney World and I really would have liked to have seen the fireworks in Disneyland. And maybe if we didn't go to the baseball game and we didn't go to Napa Rose, we could have done that. But we did. So
I think World of Color is better than their fireworks in Disneyland, in my opinion. I don't think I've done. People really like their version of Fantasmic. It's on the Rivers of America instead of being in like a theater like ours is. I don't know if I've done that.
we didn't see the whole show, although we did hear it. And then we kind of tried to see where it was and see some of it. But we did not go where there's a seat and watch it. I think we were at Disney Springs and we heard it and then we kind of went over.
Well, for 5 nights, you've described 3. What did you do the other 2 days at Disneyland?
We just went out to dinner. We were up early, and so we just went out to dinner. And then we went to Disney Springs pretty much every night, and we would get like a dessert, or John would get a coffee, or we kind of walk around downtown. That's where they had like some pin trading, which I did that a couple nights, but not for
Did
really
you
long.
churro toffee while you were there?
I did not.
Missed opportunity.
I know.
We're flying to California just for the churro toffee.
I did know that was something I was supposed to check into, but I didn't really. It didn't run into it. I think if I saw it, I would have realized.
Yeah, they only have it at like 2. There's like a bakery on Main Street. They have it at, and they have it somewhere in downtown Disney.
No, so I didn't. No, so I didn't try that. But we did, and we did go into the shops and like shop a little bit. It's like at night, just kind of afterwards, or we would go back to the hotel and we'd go in for a drink. They had the Grand California had a really nice bar. And it was actually really hard to get into early, like 4 or 5 o'clock. I think people from the park are still there. But like later at night, after dinner, before bed, it was easy to get a seat. So we would go in there and have a drink before we went to sleep. So we just kind of, chilled at night, I guess.
How would you describe their downtown Disney to Disney Springs, Florida?
Well, Florida is bigger. I mean, it's much bigger.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good mix of restaurants. There's a lot of restaurants that we went to. There was another one too that I forgot to mention with the New Orleans theme that was in their downtown Disney that we went to one night that was very good. And like I said, the Mexican restaurant was very good. So I think because it was so convenient to our hotel, like our hotel is just right there. That's where kind of we ate a lot and we just walked around there a lot. Where in Disney World, if you have to take a bus over to downtown Disney, walk around at night, maybe you don't do that as much after dinner. But that was and it was the weather was really beautiful, especially at night. So it was nice to get a little bit of a walk. It was a little bit on the cooler side when we were there. The high only got to like 72. So it was like long sleeves. I mean, you could wear a short sleeve for a little bit during the day, but it was a little on the cooler side, but it was really beautiful. We were lucky with the weather.
Well, it is Southern California. I heard it's
Right?
nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you feel like this, Wendy, but I feel like their downtown Disney is more food and like Disney shops. Like I don't feel like there's a ton of like regular stores like we have.
Well, I think it's like a combination of Disney Springs, and I think Disney Springs in Florida does have a lot more of the retailers, like the Lily Pulitzer and like Tommy Bahama, and the ones that you would see anywhere. But we still shopped a little bit. We did.
What about street entertainment? I would think I always heard that it's for the locals. Did you see a lot of street entertainment?
We didn't really a lot, and maybe it's because we weren't in the parks as much at night. We kind of came back to Disney Springs. And remember, we were there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm wondering if a lot more goes on the weekends because it seems like that's a busier time. And there were just a lot more things scheduled for the weekends than there were. So it was, good for us in that the crowds were down when we were going to the park. And that was nice. But also not being there on the weekend, there wasn't as many opportunities to do things as there would have been. So I guess that's one thing to consider, I guess, if you're going, is what you want. Would you rather have lower crowds or do you want more things to do?
I think not necessarily like streetmosphere like we think of it in Walt Disney World, but like the big difference is their characters. The majority of them don't do like designated meet and greets the way we have them in Florida. So you'll see more like roaming characters, which can be nice, but also now having talked to my brother who has little small children, it's like kind of can be also a nightmare because they don't kind of stand in one place for a long time. Like
Right.
they'll be walking, they'll say hi to a couple people, and like the second a line kind of starts forming, they kind of move along. And like I know my brother was saying they were waiting in line for Mickey Mouse, and of course, when they were the next person ready to go, the handler was like, "Okay, Mickey's going in now, and he won't be back here. He'll be back somewhere else." So they kind of dissipated, and he was like, "The second we got out of line, Minnie Mouse showed up, and their line formed for Minnie Mouse." And like, why couldn't they have just said, "Oh, Mickey's leaving, but Minnie's coming in, stay here"? But I'm like, but I think they're not scheduled the way that like Walt Disney World ones are, and they're in a specific location, and you go find them in a specific location. So Minnie's handler and Mickey's handler probably didn't talk to each other to know that they were going to swap spots.
And there was also different characters. Like I saw the Mad Hatter a couple of
Yeah.
times. Like that's not one that you would typically see a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
have
in Disney.
obscure characters, I feel like, roaming.
Right. And they are in character, like when they're walking, like the Mad Hatter is walking around and he's like, I'm late. And he was walking, his handler was behind him. So he was kind of putting out a little bit of show. And I did, like, he'll stop and take a picture here or there, but they're not, like Sam said, stationary, but there were just characters that you I don't remember seeing as much in Disney World. So that was like something to be on the lookout for. Did you have a few meet and greets? I think there was a princess something going on. And I remember seeing a lot of kids around, like some of the princesses. And I don't know if that was pop-up or planned.
And then, like I said, if you're going to Disneyland, go to the magic shop and see the magician because he was really fun.
Now you tell me. I needed to know that.
I don't even remember if we knew about that or we just were walking through. I feel like maybe Jeff knew. He was like, we got to go find this magician.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the kind of fun thing I like to check out too. So everyone listen to this. Got a better advantage than Wendy.
That's right.
Her good friend Sam didn't tell her about the magician.
I told you about the magician.
If you did, then I don't remember.
And I definitely told you about the churro toffee.
Yes, that I knew of, but I didn't really run into it. I thought I would eventually see it, but I didn't.
It seems like Wendy winged this. She's a big planner. Doesn't it, Samantha?
Look what I have right here.
Oh, okay.
Unofficial Guide of Disneyland 2026. I did read this book. I read it from like cover to cover. I went back, but it's interesting. Even though this is a 2026 guide, there were things that were not the same as when we went. Like you couldn't have early entry, and some of the things that they said there were not there when we were there. There was not. And one of the tours I wanted to take was the tour of Walt's apartment. That was one of the big things I wanted to do. And because it was the 70th anniversary of Disneyland, they didn't have that tour. They had a 70th anniversary tour. And the first thing in the description says, we do not go into Walt's apartment. So there were a lot of things that
tour is really
April that we weren't able to do that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And that was one of them.
That was definitely the highlight of our last trip.
The Walt's apartment tour. Yeah.
There's not, yes, he was involved at the beginning, but like there's nothing in Disney World where you're like, I mean, I guess Carousel, well, not that Carousel of Progress anymore, but some of the older attractions that he worked on, but it's totally different than like being in a place where he lived.
So maybe it was the time that we went, but
it's easier to like, I feel like even if I went in with a plan, it's so much more relaxed and you don't see the people like in Disney World, you get caught up in the hustle and bustle because everybody's like at rope drop going this direction and you just kind of like book it with them and follow the way. And like Disneyland is not like that because there's so many more locals that people are just kind of like bopping around that even if you went in with the plan to do like X, Y, and Z, I feel like it's easy to get off topic.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did have a plan. Our plan was we wanted to do the rides. And that's because that's something that I just wanted to see the difference of between Disneyland and Disney World are the ones that they had the same with, and I also wanted to see ones that we don't have. So that was kind of our big plan. So we did set up the lightning lanes. We got all our tickets and all in advance, and that's what our plan was. That's what we did. We just made sure we saw everything, and we were able to see everything with the lightning lanes, other than a couple that we didn't go on. We didn't go on Guardians because that wasn't one that John wanted to do. And
Did you go on Incredicoaster?
went on Incredicoaster. We liked it. We did like it, but that was the goal of the trip. And we did meet our goal is to make sure we did all the rides, and we tried a couple of the restaurants that we really wanted to at night, but we didn't. We wanted to also have some, relaxation, like relaxing time. We didn't want to, like at night, we didn't go back to the parks at night because we were there all day from 8 in the morning till, probably 5. And we had 3 days to see the parks, which I'm not sure you need 3 days. We probably could have done it in 2 days, especially with the lightning lanes and going the time of year we did. But so the third day was just kind of more meandering. It was a pin drop day, and I got Heidi a Donald Duck that she wanted. So there's that.
I thought you were there 5 days.
Yeah, but only
We were
3
in
days.
the parks 3 days.
Oh, okay.
So we got to California, Disney's California. We got to the hotel Saturday night, and then Saturday night, and then we just ate, like I said, at the pool, and then Sunday we did the baseball game, and then Sunday night we did Napa Rose, but that wasn't in the park. So Saturday and Sunday was not in the parks, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was in the park, and then we left Thursday morning.
I got it now. All right. Now, I know John loves music. When I was thinking of live entertainment, really, what I'm asking, was there any music being played that you could walk up to?
We did listen to music at night after dinner, and that is what we did into some of the restaurants that had them. We would either stop and get a drink or just really even have to get a drink. We could just hung out and listen. And we did do that mostly at night after dinner. And then there was a little small band at the Grand Californian in the lobby lounge, not the lobby lounge, the lounge that we went to. So we would listen to them at night. So that was something to do. And there was a wedding, when we were there. I mean, I think every day there was a wedding that we saw. So there was always activities with brides coming in and out, and a lot going on that way. I don't know if someone gets married every day there, but it sure seemed it when we were there.
Sounds like the Grand Floridian.
It kind of did. Yeah. It was really good. It was busy with that.
Now, in your notes, you mentioned, both you and Samantha, special add-ons or experiences. Does that mean you did some?
Well, I wanted to do the tour that was not offered, and I was disappointed that it wasn't. And the only special thing was that Napa Rose dinner. That was also something I wanted to do. They reopened a few months before, and so they had these big chefs, and it was this new tasting menu. So that was something else that I really wanted to do, that I did do. Those were the two that I really wanted to do. One I was able to do, and one I wasn't.
And the one she wasn't able to do, we did. I think it's called Walt's Main Street Story or something like that. And it really you go up and down Main Street, and they kind of talk about, some of the details on Main Street and the history behind it. And then the main draw of the tour is to go up into Walt's apartment over the firehouse. And some of the things are original. So a lot of it has been like replicated, but like down to the very nitty gritty. And there's they bring in a photo pass photographer, and you can take pictures in there. So highly recommend to anybody who is going at a time when they're offering it. And I don't know, I haven't done a ton of tours in Disney World. Like I've done behind the scenes and 2 of the Animal Kingdom ones. I haven't done any of the Magic Kingdom ones to really compare. But like we were saying, there's nowhere in Walt Disney World that's like quite the same nostalgia level as going into Walt's apartment.
All right, now I feel even worse.
Sorry,
than I wasn't able
we
to
just have to go back.
I mean, that was one of the reasons for going to Disneyland. But
Get working on your Grand Californian reservation.
and even if we went back to
absolutely
the
do it
one
again.
we talked about, they still don't
I
have the
know.
tour. They're still doing the 70th anniversary
Tour.
tour.
The tour.
So it's not back yet.
Like Sam, not just his apartment, but I'm sure the tour guides go into great historical depth of the park.
Yeah, there is a lot. And they had recommended our tour guide. At the end of it, you go out, there's like a patio at a balcony at his apartment, and they give you like cookies and stuff. And you can just ask questions and chat with the tour guide. And the tour guide recommended like 2 different Disneyland history books that are out. And that's kind of my go-to gift for my father every Father's Day and birthday and Christmas is some kind of Disney history book. And I was running low for a while because he's read pretty much all of them. And so I bought him one of the Disneyland ones that the tour guide recommended, and he like blew through it and loved it.
I like that. I want to finish up with a couple things, but Wendy, being a great planner, I think you did have a great plan to do the rides. I feel like as you're talking, Margita and I have never been there together. And think of us, if you're giving us advice for planning. I like your idea. Actually, I like 3 days. And what I'm taking in is that last day I would make sure that tour is part of one of those days.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think 3 days is like the sweet spot. You can do it in 2. You'll probably miss things. And I will probably do it even 4 days, but just to have a little bit more time to like slow down and look at all the stuff, especially if it's your first time and you wanted to see it do like everything there is to offer.
And the nice thing about 3 days is if you felt like there was a ride that was down or you couldn't get to it, and we did have the hoppers, we always knew, okay, that we'll put on our list to do like on our 3rd day. So it was, I think, nice for our first time so that you can try to get to everything. I really felt like we got to everything that we wanted to in the park.
So how would you give advice to plan at Disneyland compared to Disney World?
For me personally, number one, I'd make sure the tour was offered because that was really something that I was disappointed in. It was just because of their 70th anniversary. So I didn't know that when I booked it that I couldn't do the tour.
Was there anything special for the 70th that you did?
There was a tour that you could go on, but it was basically the same tour without Walt's apartment, and it was the same price. It was like $150 or $60 a person. It was 2 hours. So it was a 2-hour tour that was, I'm like thinking about Disney World. I mean, they had the Keys to the Kingdom tour that's $120 for 5 hours, including lunch. And this was $150 for the 70th anniversary tour and for 2 hours. So when I saw that, I didn't think that it was worth it. And so that's why we didn't do that. And so basically, I think it was everything except the Walt's apartment. I don't know why they chose to not do that, but they did. So I would make sure that was there because I think if you and Margita went, Kurt, you would definitely want to see that. Second, I know how much Margita likes the rides. And I think the way that John and I did it, buying the lightning lanes and just that was our focus. I think she would really like that as well.
Yep.
And I think you don't have to be. We went during the week, which again, the crowds were down, but then you don't get to see the fireworks, or at least not the time of year we went. I'm sure maybe in the summer, they'll have them more because school's out, but at the time of year we went. So maybe plan to look at when the fireworks are, if that's something that's important to you. And, and the food was good. I don't want to say the food wasn't good, but my expectations were so high because of what I heard of everyone talking about before I went. And I mean, it was good. It just wasn't.
Did you get the grilled cheese and tomato soup at Jolly Holiday?
I did not.
Okay, we got it back. We need a redo.
I'm thinking I'm going to talk to Samantha before I go. Make sure I get the food, the recommendations, the snacks.
Well, Samantha, you knew I was going.
When you get me started talking about that, I'm like, oh, you have to get this. You have to get this. You have to get this.
Well, I think
the grilled cheese and tomato soup and the giant raspberry macaroon at Jolly Holiday is like, I could eat that raspberry macaroon every day of my life.
I've heard the Bayou restaurant. Is that the one that's in Pirates?
Ate there back in 2019, so the food might have improved since then. I really liked the ambiance because it's in Pirates, so it's kind of similar to, I liken it to the restaurant at the Mexico Pavilion that's in the Mexico Pavilion and Three Caballeros goes by. So this is like that, but Pirates goes by. But I didn't think the food was like so spectacular.
We looked at that to eat it because we actually had a dining reservation there. But when we looked at the menu was just okay. So we ended up eating at the New Orleans style restaurant that was in Disney Springs instead that night. And that food was good. And they had a little band and, that was fun. I mean, it was in Disney Springs, not like you said, the ambiance of the restaurant, but the food offerings I thought were better.
Well, if we pick two restaurants, like I don't, even for my last trip, I was kind of glad we didn't have, something booked every night. So if I pick two restaurants at Disneyland, what two would you pick?
Probably Lamplight Lounge. I think
Yeah, I
we
would
really
definitely
like
do Lamplight
it.
Lounge.
And then what's that? Carthway Circle.
Carthway Circle. I haven't
Circle.
done that yet, but it's been on my list.
Probably those two, I think. And just the restaurant in the Grand California that we went to the first night, it was like a little sit down by the pool, but it was good. It was like just a little, it was like sandwiches and salads and pizzas and stuff, but it was nice because you got to see a little bit of the hotel. That was fun. Very casual, but very fun. We liked that one.
And you should go to Trader Sam's. Sorry, Wendy.
Again, Trader Sam's was closed inside, so
which is obviously not a
there's
restaurant, but a bar.
right.
You should go to Jolly Holiday. You should go to the whatever it's called, Tiki Terrace, I think it's called, or Tropical Hideaway, something like that. It's by Tiki Birds. And get the pork spring rolls, but note to self, they have pork in them if you're a vegetarian.
Know that they have pork in them.
But it will be the most delicious pork you've had in 15 years.
I'm surprised the pork spring rolls have pork in them. That's kind of surprising.
I don't think it said pork spring rolls on the sign. I think it just said spring rolls.
Like, can you tell me what's in these pork spring rolls, please?
Jeff Kessler, and actually you would really like it, would tell you to go to Ballast Point in downtown Disney because we spent a lot of time. It's just like
we also went there.
Downtown Disney, but we spent a lot of time there.
We also spent a lot of time at Ballast Point because it's a beer that John liked.
Yeah.
Ballast Point Brewery.
We went there on our first day when we didn't have park tickets and got some food and drinks. And then I think we ended up there at least once, if not twice, every day at some point on the trip.
Yeah.
Good to know.
That was good.
Yeah.
And if you don't stay on site at the Grand Californian or the Disneyland Hotel, I would definitely go and see them. I definitely walk in, especially at Disney, the Grand Californian, because anyone would just walk in, which is of course why it was so busy, but it's fun to see. And like I said, there's a little sit down quick serve that you can go to, get out of the parks a little bit and get into some air conditioning if you go in the summer. And I did like staying there.
And they do have also a valid, quote unquote, value resort on property. That's Pixar Place, I think it's called, which is a Pixar themed resort. I actually think that also has entrance to California Adventure, or at least an exit I've seen. But then, like what I said, anything that's on that kind of main drag in Anaheim is walking distance from the park. So you can definitely stay off property.
I love it. I love all the tips. Can't wait till I can get Margita over there.
Wendy, did you do a park hopper or you did single day tickets?
Yeah, park hopper.
Okay, yeah. Because I was going to say, because everything's so close, I think you get a lot more bang for your buck doing the park hopper than you do in Walt Disney World, because you can easily be on the app and say, oh, the next lightning lane is in California Adventure, and it's only
right. Yeah, we didn't hop the first day because we were so focused on Disneyland, but then the other 2 days we were back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I will say another random good thing to note is a good chunk of the older rides in Fantasyland are not on Fast Pass or
right.
Because they're older and the buildings are small. There's just not room for them to put a second lot queue in there. So what we did is we kind of rope dropped all of the old rides in Fantasyland that were not on Lightning Lane.
We did that too. Yes. And like I said, some of those older ones, it was really hard for John to fit in some of those.
Margita likes the old Fantasyland kind of ride, so I'm sure she would appreciate that tip. Good stuff. So what do you think of your Disneyland trip, Wendy, overall?
I really liked it for sure. I have wanted to go for so long, so I'm glad I finally got there. I'm happy with the accommodations where we stayed. I wish that I was able to go on the tour, number one. And number two, I wish that I could have done fireworks, because I do love the fireworks in Disney World. So those are two things that I definitely would want to do if I went back again.
What do you think John's favorite part of the trip was?
it's hard to say with him because he was right with me making the lightning lanes and keeping up and everything. And at the end of the trip, I was trying to ask him if he liked it or not. And he said, yeah, he liked it. It was, something good to do, but he wasn't really very convincing. So I think he went on the Disneyland trip because he knew I wanted to go on it. And he was fine doing it, but I don't think he ever wants to go back again.
Yeah. How about you?
So-
What was your favorite part of the trip?
My favorite part of the trip, I think just actually getting there after trying so many times to go and just having trips canceled was to absolutely, get to check that up. One of the things off my list I really wanted to do. And, you hear people, especially in Disney World, talking about the difference between that and Disneyland. And I've only heard what the comparisons are. And I was happy that I got to see it.
Sounds like you agreed with most of the stuff we've talked to others about.
I think so. The only thing I really was expecting, I think, is more in the food department. But again, I think that was just my expectation was so much higher that maybe if I didn't go in with that high, and the food was fine, it was good. I'm not saying anything, but I don't know. I was expecting something grand.
Yeah, that's what I get the impression, Wendy. Every time I've interviewed, like Sam said, I think she described it well. The snacks, there's some raving about snacks and street food, and also the quick service at Disneyland. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think their sit-down restaurants are more on the ambiance than on the quality of food.
Okay. I love it. I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you guys. It's been a while since I talked to Samantha.
I know.
No.
It's been 2 whole months since I've been to Disney World.
Oh, really? Okay. And your birthday's coming
You're going
up.
to fix that.
Yeah, Wendy and I are going in 2 weeks, so.
Oh, so yeah, what's the trip? You're going down to Wendy's place?
Going to Wendy's for a night, and then we're going over to Disney for 5 days.
Oh, I want to do another trip report with you two then.
Okay. Well, what happened, Kurt?
What
Is it
happened was
involved?
Wendy promised me a trip to Disneyland, and then went to Disneyland and said, don't you think you'd rather go to Disney World?
So when I was telling you I was getting all the different nights at the Grand California, I didn't know when our trip was going to be. I was able to get 3 consecutive nights at a studio in Disneyland. And I told Sam, well, I can't make a decision about going back to Disneyland when I haven't even been there. And then I went there and it was fine, but I wouldn't have been able to do the tour again because it still wasn't going to be there in July. And after I just was there in April, and it's a lot more expensive to go to Disneyland because you need to buy park
know.
tickets. What's that?
For you, who's got to buy a flight. I always have to buy a flight.
Well,
If she
you
comes
have
back
to buy the
and says,
flight. But
I
the
just
park
don't
tickets.
think you understand how much more expensive it is in Disneyland than it is in Disney World. I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, you have to get a flight. I was like, well, I always have to get a flight, so that doesn't matter. She goes, and you have to buy park tickets. I was like, well, yeah, obviously have to buy park tickets. And the food is just so much more expensive.
Thought the food was
Spent
really
all
more
this
expensive.
money on food, and I was like, well, yeah, you ate at like a fine dining place every night of the trip. We don't typically do that. If we're going to eat at a $200 restaurant, it's a special occasion and like one night of the trip.
Nice.
Well, it was more the park tickets too.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to Disney. So I haven't been to Disney World.
Like before.
I know.
What's your plan for this trip you got coming up with 5 days at Disney World?
So I'm going July 6th with my kids and my grandkids. So my son's flying down from New York, and my son-in-law, John, and I, my son-in-law and my grandkids, and we're all going because they have no school. So it's just like a week of that we're going together. And then I'm going to come back for a day and a half. And then Samantha's going to fly in, and we're going to do a little. I feel bad because when she comes to Florida, she hasn't been doing a whole lot of touristy things. So we're going to do some touristy things. We did go on the boat once, but we'll go out on the boat and go to the beach and do that on Sunday. And then we'll leave for Disney Monday morning.
And we've
And
got what?
till Saturday.
Staying in 3 resorts in 5 days.
Mhm.
1 night at
Correct.
Boardwalk, 3 nights at Grand Floridian. And the last night we're at what? Swan or Dolphin?
Animal Kingdom.
Oh, news to me.
It could change.
Well, yes.
We've made really no plans. We made a whole bunch of random dining reservations for places we like to eat. And I texted Wendy before we got on and said, should we FaceTime after this and talk about what we want to do on our trip
Yeah, once you get that figured out, let me know.
in 2
All right.
weeks?
Yeah.
Well, there's a pin show the
Yeah.
final Saturday. So we'll stay in Animal Kingdom Friday night, and then Saturday morning we'll go to the pin show, and that's until like 4 or 5, and then I'll go back to Florida, and
Yeah.
Sam will fly home. And my niece also really likes pins.
Is she going to come up for the pin show?
She's going to come on Friday and stay over. With any luck, John will bring her
Well,
on Friday.
I wish I was going to be there. I'm glad I got
Me
a chance
too.
to talk with you now.
Not
And
too late.
It isn't too late. You're right.
You have a friend you could find to get a room with.
I know. Wendy is such a good host.
That's the
And
dangerous.
the other thing is, I was talking to Margita about her trip. I think she's ready to do a girls' trip. I think she's ready to go with
Is
us.
she?
I think so. I asked her. She really didn't answer exactly, but I think she might be.
I mean, somehow my last birthday trip we took was supposed to be Margita coming and staying with us, and instead we got Kurt and Dan and Andy.
That is true.
What's wrong with that?
So, Kurt, your next trip is September?
Yes, we have Judy's birthday trip.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
We're going to be there in September. So,
I think I'm going to be there for just a weekend when you're there
oh, good. Awesome.
with my dad. It's also his birthday.
All right. I might see some geeks. I'm hearing a lot of people that might be down there. That's a good time to go.
I'll definitely drive up for a day. Or an
Absolutely.
overnight.
Nice. Awesome. We might even be able to get you in our room, Wendy.
Okay. I'll sneak in.
Where are you staying?
Old Key West. We got 2-bedroom.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. I have to run and walk the dog, but it's been,
Okay.
and that's a very important chore of mine every single night. And I got to do that, but I've had a great time talking to you guys. Thanks for the comparison of Disney World and Disneyland, and I'm glad you had a great trip.
Let us know
All
when
right.
you want to go.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I do
It
want to
has
go.
to be after the tour's back.
All right. Yes, absolutely. I got that was my big takeaway. And I hope you guys stay in touch.
Absolutely.
I think we will.
See ya.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
What a great conversation. Wendy, thank you so much for sharing your very first Disneyland adventure with us. It was great hearing your honest reactions after hearing so much of us talk about Disneyland over the years. And Samantha, thanks for jumping in with your own experiences and all those great planning tips. I have a feeling Margita and I are going to be taking plenty of those notes before we finally make our own Disneyland trip together. One thing I really enjoyed about this discussion is that nobody tried to declare one resort better than the other. Disneyland has its incredible history, walkability, and nostalgia. Disney World has its incredible variety, scale, and immersive vacation experience. The fun is appreciating what makes each one special. And as always, I thank everyone who supports the show through the Travel and Tiaras. Margita and Judy are helping so many of you plan magical vacations to Disney World, Disneyland, the cruise line, Universal, Epic Universe, and now beyond with other cruise lines. When you book or transfer your vacation through the Travel and Tiaras, you're helping support the podcast, and we truly appreciate it. Email them, travelandtiaras@gmail.com. Thanks to our Patreon family. That's a website you can go to donate to the show. Thank you for believing in what we do. Your support helps cover the costs of producing the show week after week and keeps this Disney Geek community growing. If you'd like to join us, visit patreon.com/geekinonWDW. Thank you for being part of the Geekin family. And now I want to hear from you. Are you Team Disneyland? Team Walt Disney World? Or are you like me, ready to experience even more Disney magic wherever it takes you? Come join the conversation in our Facebook group. Look for the Geekin on WDW family. And if you got a Disney trip report, a Disneyland adventure, a Disney cruise story, or just a favorite Disney memory you'd love to share, and get a great topic we can explore, I'd love to have you on the show. That's what this community has always been about. Disney geeks sharing the magic together. One more thing before we wrap up. I'm really excited to tell you that it's finally happening. I've officially recorded the very first episode of my brand new podcast, Geekin' on Travel, with my good friend Judy Ludwig. In our first episode, Judy shares all about her Norwegian cruise line sailing to the Bahamas out of New York City, and we had an absolute blast recording it. The new website is up, geekinontravel.com. The first episode is just about ready to go. Now I'm planning to release it this week. I'm honestly excited to see where this new adventure takes us. One of the things that's meant the most to me has been all the encouragement you've given me, and I've already heard from so many geeks who want to come on the show and share their own adventures from cruises and national parks to Europe, Alaska, road trips, and destinations all over the world. If you've already reached out to me, thank you. And if I haven't contacted you yet, don't worry. I'll be reaching out soon so we can start recording your adventure. Can't wait to keep building this community, not just around Disney vacations, but around all the amazing places we get to explore together. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for listening and going geeking on Walt Disney World with us. We love this community and we love you geeks. Until next time, keep taking care of each other, have a magical day, and may all your dreams come true.